Hi, this is Mike Regan with TransAct's 2-Minute Warning for the week of May 8th. And in this week's 2-Minute Warning, we have an important question for you. Is the lack of bandwidth within your organization hurting your supply chains? Last week, I had the opportunity to attend an outstanding conference when the Young Presidents Organization's Manufacturing Excellence Network held its annual summit here in Chicago. Some great resources talking about important topics, learned a ton. Personally, I had the opportunity to interview Henry Cloud, noted author and psychologist, about his most recent book, Trust. It is a great book that you ought to read. But I was also intrigued by a conversation with a gentleman from Boeing who recently retired. Corey Matthews, before his retirement, was tasked with leading Boeing's crisis response program. This kicked into high gear after the crashes of the 737 MAXs in 2019 and COVID. Corey talked about the lessons learned, and at the top of that lesson is that every organization has to have a written crisis management plan that is periodically stress tested to make sure that it's relevant for the environment you're operating in. He brought out the example in Boeing's traditional crisis plan. They relied on press releases that could take, hours or days or weeks to prepare and get out. And in the environment that we're operating in today, he said you need to get ahead of things on social media, because there it's operating in seconds, minutes, and hours. He brought about other things that were very important. And when he talked about stress testing, I gave him a follow-up question. If stress testing your crisis management plan is so important, why don't more companies stress test their supply chains, which he acknowledged are extremely important in certain crisis situations? He said the reason a lot of companies don't like to stress test supply chains or crisis management is a lack of time. They simply don't have the wherewithal to get after it. Now, he said, we all have the same amount of time, it's just not a priority. And we talked about the fact that with everything that's happening in the supply chain and transportation space today, companies can't afford to overlook this. For example, we've got the Teamsters negotiations with UPS, ABF, and T-Ford, the West Coast ports. We've got things happening in Washington, D.C. Independent contractors could go on and on. Now, if you're interested in protecting your supply chain, he gave some great advice. Consider using third parties. Companies like TransAct, where we have a rapid assessment process that can get everybody in the room and take a holistic look at where you're at today, where you could be in the future, but more importantly, what are the alternatives and options you need to have in your hip pocket that could be called upon when necessary to protect your supply chain. Now, if you're interested in learning more about this rapid assessment process, send me a letter or give me a call, because with each and every 2-minute warning, we're here to remind you we are on your team. We are here to help, and we're passionate about seeing you be successful. Thanks for your time.